we have 2 Yamatos, 2 Fusos, and a Congo. That is unapproachable. Unapproachable with a surface fleet. Hello, and welcome back everyone to War on the Sea, as of course the US Navy. We are quite likely going to be starting off this episode with a very quick battle. Our hunters group is very close to what we suspect, very much know actually, is a heavy cruiser task force just here. So it's denoted as a battleship task force at the moment, and that's because of the misinformation with it being midnight, or just gone very nearly 1 in the morning. So it is rather dark, we don't have very good sight, but due to previous scouting during the daytime, we know this is in fact a cruiser task force with a few destroyers escorting. How are things looking generally though? Well, we're still struggling a little bit with taking over Guadalcanal. We've chucked thousands of troops at Guadalcanal, but they keep pushing us back. In the previous video, we did manage to sink a cargo task force whereby they were likely carrying more troops and supplies for Guadalcanal, so we did manage to intercept those before they landed. So that's very good indeed, very useful. We are being pushed back. We are going to get some decent reinforcements from Rennell Island on our supplies 1 group over here. We have I think roughly 3,500-ish troops coming from there. However, that will take 12.3 hours to get to. We do need to make sure that is coming round properly though. There we go. That's going to take 12.9 hours now that we've had to change our waypoints a little, but that's absolutely fine. We will get the tick back though as the calculation's done at roughly midday. And we're not going to make it in time for that tick around there. But that's absolutely fine. We are also coming in with a massive amount of troops from our Australian bases. But that will take even longer, of course. That's going to take 41 hours just to get to Rennell Island. And if we bring that round here, that's going to take 55 hours to get to Guadalcanal as it stands. Task Force Thunder is just simply patrolling. Did fight back a couple submarines from the previous episode, but it's going to just keep patrolling this general area just to keep some scouts in the open water south of these string of islands here. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. No particular goals for today other than land more reinforcements at Guadalcanal. Finally try and get the balance of power in our favour there. Let's try and chase down this particular unit over here. This will be another night battle if we do manage to take that down. Let's see where that goes. Of course, it is a little quicker than us. We do see possibly 2 ships here. We didn't leave any ships to retreat from the previous battle. So if that is in fact another reinforcing group, we're going to have to chase that one down. Let's have a look. No, that's running away. Interesting. Okay, we're playing a bit of a jiggery-pokery here. We're going to go backwards and forwards, but we're 11 kilometers roughly away from this task force. Let's get in a little closer, shall we? And that we'll have to do. If we get a rangefinder out, probably 10 kilometers away from that. Let's go straight in, see what we can do. Just going to double check actually our formation here, just so that we know what's going on. And we will just quickly review the damage before we go in. We've lost a secondary gun on the New Jerseys. That's very sad because its maiden voyage was that previous battle. Bit of damage across the board, nothing too horrible. But I think we're certainly serviceable for this particular battle, so let's go straight in. Okay, so pitch black once again. Let's see, we are of course right in front of the enemy there. Rangefinder will not move while we're paused, but that's absolutely fine. We can use the New Orleans target anyway. That's a destroyer, of course. Let's find something a little meatier. This looks like a Oedo at number 3. What do we have here? We have a Miyoko. It's maybe a little jarring, but I'm going to turn the brightness up now for you. And there we go. Let's target this and we'll get some firing orders going. So our firing orders are out. Let's press play and see what we can do with this. So we have of course focused our heavy cruisers onto the Miyoko. Both battleships going for the Takao. They are on hold fire for the minute just so we build up some sort of solution. But I think that's absolutely fine for now. Let's go for spotting fire with some AP outs. Go for the New Jersey as well. There's only so much solution you can build up passively, of course, in the dark. We are going to be firing out star shells, so we'll be seeing those arrive momentarily, of course, firing those from secondaries from our battleships and heavy cruisers, as well as some destroyers firing out towards the lead over there. So we do have a very nice hit onto the Miyoko already. That is absolutely brilliant. We are, of course, racing against time on these close quarters engagements. So the distance between New Jersey and Miyoko is at least, or Takao rather, is at least 12.5 kilometers at least, or roughly there. That's absolutely fine. We're going to take off of spotting. Another nice hit onto the Miyoko here. That's excellent. Take off of spotting with the Montana as well, because we do have a very nice solution there already. Very nice shots out onto Takao. Let's take a very quick report there. Moderate already onto Miyoko, which is excellent. I do see Mustin says critical, but that's absolutely fine. Just going to be double checking our own maneuvers here, because I don't want anyone to be, you know, of course, hitting each other through collisions and such. And we are firing out with HE here. Just double checking. I don't want to continuously fire with star shells. I believe it's Porter going with some. So let's fire out with HE finally. And that is going to go towards the Oido there. How is that Oido looking? We do have the Atlanta focusing that down for now until we free up from one of the heavy cruisers. Looking okay there. Wondering if this is actually a cargo. Let's go to Benson. Yeah, very nice solution onto that. Unfortunately, Benson doesn't have any star shells. So what we're going to do is actually take from Porter and get some star shells over to these destroyers, I think. Fire out a full spread so we get a wider coverage with these. Another massive hit, I think, onto one of these heavy cruisers over here, which is excellent. We can see the Takao got a bit of a minor list going on there. We actually haven't spotted on the map, but we do see a final destroyer in the rear over here. Looks to be a Fubuki. We have actually sunk all of the enemy Akatsukis, which is excellent. Love to see that. Just double checking our maneuvers once again. We're spreading out down here just so we can broadside, and if the enemy does want to get out some torpedoes, it gives them something extra to fire at a different angle. Another massive explosion onto this Miyoko. We can see the fires on the central line of this Takao as well. That's absolutely brilliant there. Let's go back to the Porter and make sure we fire out to kill here onto the Kagero. It doesn't look like we're getting many hits onto that, unfortunately, just yet. Let's have a look at another report for that Oido. Minor damage there. It's absolutely fine. We do actually have moderate on the Kagero, so we are getting more hits than we think. Can't see any damage coming in too hard. The New Orleans is taking some hits. Same for the Montana, but nothing horrible. A little bit of flooding. We are on top of it with the damage control team there. Pensacola's fine. We are taking some hits onto the Benson, but that is it for our destroyers. That's absolutely fine. Not going to fire out any torpedoes because we not really get a hit, I don't think, to be honest. We never really have much luck with our American torpedoes, do we? How are these looking? Do we need to get back onto spotting fire? We probably do. Let's make sure we do that then, because we are losing solution here. Where is the New Jersey? Right at the bottom. In fact, that Takao is at a crawl, so I'm just going to hold out here and get a manual fire out onto that, like so. Looks like we have to turn our turrets though, rather interestingly. We need then to move the whole ship if that's the case. Move out like this, and we can hold fire once again. Montana, how are you looking? You do have a good line onto that, so we'll hold here, get another manual shot out. Just wait for the reload there. Looks like we're about ready. It's going at 5 knots. We'll just aim right on top of the nose then. And what we'll do is we'll go back onto spotting fire for that. So wait for these shots to land. Very, very close. They're just straddling because of these, because of the spread and the dispersion of our shells. Should be one more volley coming in. I'd imagine that was the New Jerseys. Yes, so did get a good few main caliber hits right onto the enemy's turrets there, which is excellent. So let's just pause very quickly and see what that Miyoko is doing. We might want to turn the New Orleans round here, although we're going to want to change our speeds here and quite likely maneuver away. We're going to have to limit our firepower, but I've got a bad feeling these destroyers and the Oido are going to be firing out some torpedoes at us. So actually what we'll do is we'll increase our speed with the New Orleans, and we shall... What shall we do? We might actually get some torpedoes out of the Hillary. Oh, we don't actually have any. We did fire in the previous battle. That's a shame. No chance to rearm, of course. Don't want Montana to take torpedoes. So, once again, we're going to have to sacrifice a bit of manoeuvrability and firepower here. Turn round. Just give that a general turn order then, because the navigation points are being a bit strange. Increase New Jersey's speed there. That should be fairly safe. That Takao doesn't look like... Oh, its guns are in fact active here. That's a shame. How are we doing over here? Still taking some damage. Funnels a hit. Let's change our maneuvers. Let's turn around here then. How we do against Fubuki? This is with HE. Still not getting too much though. Kagero is on fire, which is great. Oido is also on fire. Getting to the rear of that with these destroyers, which is great. Might want to turn in a little bit with Atlanta. Just get some minor turn there. Takao, let's see. Pensacola's going to want to just slow down a tad. In fact, slow down quite a bit to avoid the Montana, who does need to just straighten up a little for this turn. New Jersey, I think, yeah, we're holding fire, it's absolutely fine. We'll get one more manual shot onto the now stationary Takao, and we'll change our target over, I think, to the Oido might be best for now. So let's hold out there, build some solution up. Don't have our port side secondaries facing, so there's not much we can do about that at the moment. How are we doing with this Kago? Let's fire out some more star shells. We do still have some going. Samson, do you have star shells available? You certainly do. But we're firing out generally against there. Let's fire out some star shells against the Miyoko for a minute. Right, now that Benson is retreating, which is great. We're at as quick speed as we can. How are we looking with this turn? Let's turn a little harder with the Pensacola. How are we doing with the New Orleans? We're turning in a little too hard there for my liking. We do have star shells firing out from the secondaries here against Miyoko. We can actually see them in the air there. So actually the Samson can take away there and go for the Fubuki generally there. Let's do some spotting fire. And what we can do now that we are aimed onto the Oido, get a full salvo out there, of course. It has recovered from the fires, unfortunately. We'll double check the Atlanta's solution in just a second. We'd like to see whether these land does take a direct hit, quite likely from the Atlanta there. Shells have not come crashing down, as you'd expect of battleship caliber shells. And there they are, in fact. So yeah, close, but not quite close enough there. Still turning with the Atlanta. What we're going to do then is try and turn a little harder. We are going to have to watch out for the Benson, which is taking massive damage, quite likely going to lose this in this battle. Just move around here so we do avoid the Atlanta. Mustang can move in a tad as well as the Samson. This Miyoko is still giving us trouble because it's not bloody sinking. Massive shots out there onto it though. He's firing its rear guns, not too sure what's going on with these two forward batteries. Pensacola's looking good, so what we can do is stop turning so hard with that. And the Montana, I think, can now turn around once again to a port side turn. How is that Miyoko looking? It's moving at 8 knots. Fires amidships. Move around over here with the Hillary P. Jones. Porter can just turn around to get a more full broadside there. How are we looking with star shells? We do have a lot of star shells about here. think other than the Benson, we're certainly coming on top of this engagement, but it's just taking a little too long. That Takao actually hasn't sunk yet either, and the guns of course are still active. Re-establish contact with the number 6. What do we want to call that? Let's call that a Fubuki for now. That bloody Myoko just won't go down, will it? I think what we do is we take the New Orleans off of the Myoko and actually start firing on Fubuki over here with some HE spotting. We get some HE shells from the secondary reserves to that as well. What we can do with the Pensacola is hold off once again, wait for the reload. It is moving at 1 knot, Pensacola, so we can get some manual shots. It looks like we're just straddling as well with that. Fire right on top of that. And that's actually firing with just the front guns. That's absolutely fine because of our position. See how those land. We can keep that manual order going on that position. Yeah, look at that. Very, very close. Very nice explosion onto the forward battery there. We keep that firing until that sinks in that position then. New Jersey may have to slow down a tad here. And that can full up a broadside there. How are we looking against the Oido? Still not too great, unfortunately. Gonna need these destroyers to push in a little though, because we need to re-establish contact with the number 6 Fubuki. Atlanta also needs to come up here. Mustin actually can go with the Samson in a line ahead. If that leads, that can then move through here. Benson, how are you looking? Terrible, of course. Damage control parties are getting exhausted, I'm sure. Solution onto the Fubuki not doing great. And that Myoko just refusing to go down. Let's have a look at a report again. Critical to heavy on both heavy cruisers. Heavy to heavy on Oido and Fubuki. So they're actually doing worse than the Kagero. Sustaining heavy damage. Frustratingly not enough though. Well, the Myoko and Fubuki is sinking. This Takao is quite likely very, very close. It's pretty much stationary there. We've got a manual fire coming out from the Montana now. Kagero has just suffered a magazine explosion, which is excellent, and that should then be going down fairly soon. But we've seen ships survive on magazine explosions for quite some time before, haven't we? Oido's not looking great either, with its front half completely engulfed in flames there, which is excellent. The bow just completely disappearing there. We are struggling with the island over here. We, you know, someone's just put that there out of nowhere, so we're just manoeuvring around that. We want to, I think, really slow down. We're not taking any shots here from the New Jersey or against that, so we can just slow down, turn in a tad, but we're going to have to watch out against our incoming destroyer in New Orleans there. How is that bloody Takao doing? Why is that still afloat? You can see again the bow thinking about submerging itself. Misplaced number 3 turret there as well. It's taking shots from the Pensacola relentlessly. Still on, what are we, critical to critical there. I don't know why that hasn't sunk. Takao just suffers a magazine explosion to the rear, and that will add insult to injury and just completely remove that. We've still not resighted the number 6 Fubuki though. That might have to be the job then of Mustin and Samson along with Pensacola. They are moving at max speed. It's going to hamper their firing orders against the Kagero, but once again that has suffered a frontal magazine explosion. In fact, what we're going to do is full speed with New Jersey and actually do a portside turn, a long portside turn around here. Same with Porter, because that's just coming out of the field of engagement there. Turning around with Hillary P and New Orleans. Once again, Kagero just taking far too long to go down there. Far too long to go down. Trying to figure out who is firing star shells. I think it's this New Orleans. Don't necessarily need them over there anymore. Pensacola can now then focus on Oedo. And in fact, we're close enough to start beaming out with our searchlights, are we? What are we trying to find there? Perhaps a destroyer. Don't need a HE, we want AP onto the Oedo. Taking some hits. We are on fire on the bow. What is this we can see? Is that the Oedo? Couldn't tell you. Must be. Certainly looks like it. Moving at 7 knots. Should be fairly close to sinking. It's swapped the fires from bow to stern. Watching out over here. We've lost the second turret on our Pensacola. Just move around portside turn with Atlanta because we're going to crash into Montana, who will start another portside turn of her own. Not actually targeting anything with that. It will save up for any destroyers that come in. Again, this Oedo should be very close to going down. Just watching Pensacola over here. It's not permanently destroyed, but it is on fire, this turret. I think actually, having seen that, let's get Montana focused on Oedo. Hold fire just to get our guns turned. And that Kagado still frustratingly afloat. How is this afloat? Don't know. Still thinking of submerging its bow. Fires are spreading to midships. And that is actually finally sinking. We've thrown enough insults at it. Can't take it anymore. It's absolutely fine. So we're going to stop turning now with the Montana. And we're going to slow down our speed here to stay in range. New Jersey still turning. Absolutely fine. Montana's, all of her guns should be focused. That's the Atlanta, you silly bugger. Yeah, they're all focused there. Let's move over to Oedo, have a look at that. Get some manual shots trained on that. Just focus just ahead of the bow there. We'll see how that goes. I'm sure it'll be fine. Very close shots from the Pensacola there. I think we need more star shells in this area because there's just zero about. Massive volley from the Montana there. Massive volley indeed. That should encourage it. It's slowing down. Certainly slowing. How does the Mustang... Yeah, that's got some... It's got some star shells available. Let's get another manual shot from the Montana. We'll go roughly for midships. That is stationary now, and that should be going down fairly soon. I'm not going to try too hard to relocate that final destroyer. I think we're all desperate to get back home to Rennell Island and restock our ammunition. So let's get going. Very nice victory there indeed. Fubuki did disappear with 0 damage sustained, but a lovely 10 command points. That Fubuki shall be retreating, and that's cleared up the avenues to Guadalcanal for our reinforcements for another day. Quite likely going to be saying goodbye to Benson and Hillary P. Jones though. We'll double check how our Pensacola looks when it's in a safe zone towards Rennell Island, because we might have to send that back if we do still have sustained damage to the guns there. But we should be fine with that. Perfectly serviceable. Didn't lose the guns completely, so that's probably not the case. We have to send that back. Actually, we might want to just poke our noses in to see what this is, because I don't want enemy reinforcements poking around at Guadalcanal. We do still have some ammunition if this is just a minor convoy over here. We'll have a look. It is still running away though. We have encountered something. Quite likely trying to be this at 24 kilometers. But we weren't forced into that engagement at 12 kilometers. Let's have a look. We can just leave if we don't spot anything there. So, I'm going to be turning on radar and sonar, moving at a slow speed in case this is in fact a submarine. So we'll take our radars off of our destroyers so that we can focus with the sonar. Atlanta does have sonar as well, so we use that. And everyone be very, very quiet. Possibly hunting or being hunted by submarines. We'll give this a small time. If we don't spot anything within a few minutes, we will just leave. Can we use our binoculars to spot anything where we suspect the enemy, possibly cargo ships, to be? We can't see anything against the moonlight on the horizon. And I can't see... Well, I can't see anything because it is that dark. So if this is a submarine, we're fucked. What I'm going to do is, if that is a submarine, I'm going to get our Montana moving quickly away, as well as in New Jersey. Big turn to port there. Porter can follow. That won't be great for its sonar. Pensacola can follow as well. In fact, the Pensacola will move to starboard side. Mustang can increase speed as well, move out. In fact, while we're looking at it, the Pensacola is okay fairly on damage. Decent integrity across the board, so that's all good. We don't need to send that back. Atlanta has suffered damage to a funnel, reducing it to 93% total capacity. We do see some star shells out, so that suggests there are enemy ships, surface ships of course, rather than submarines. Where the bloody hell they are though, I've no idea. Well, I did decide to leave that in the end. We can still chase this if we want. But you know, I think it's just best to go and rearm at the moment for now. So that's absolutely fine. It's a shame we couldn't find that, but there's just no way of telling where that fire was coming from. No muzzle flashes were sighted, no lights on enemy ships, no smoke coming out of their funnels and such, nothing. So there's not much we can do about that, unfortunately, and I don't want to just say, alright, shoot, my ships are free. So we are going to shamefully retreat from that one. Okay, so we have some sort of enemy task force, quite possibly an enemy carrier around Milne Bay here. We have just dropped off some more supplies over here, so we're going to come back with mostly engineering and fuel on the next run, so we can put that up to a level 2 airfield for more coverage and of course more planes. However, we have launched both fighters against this particular task force with some rockets, hoping to cover, of course, the Beauforts we've sent in with torpedoes, which will hit any heavier targets, and the Havars over here will hit, hopefully, a destroyer. Of course, they do have the primary objective of screening our Beauforts from enemy planes. Let's go straight into the tactical view and see what we have. We're just going to make sure we take ourselves off of fire at will. Let's see what we have. It should be right above them. I don't see anything myself here. Here we go. Massive fleet. Yamato. Oh! Okay, so it's not an aircraft. Jesus Christ. This is not an aircraft carrier. So there's some good news. We have 2 Yamatos, 2 Fusos, and a Congo. That is unapproachable. Unapproachable with a surface fleet. Akazuki on the number 9 position. Number 8 is another Akazuki. Akazuki. Alright, okay. What's this one? Akazuki again? It certainly is. Excellent. So, also a lot of AA fire coming out. So we're going to focus the number 6 Akazuki, are we? With the both fighters. That's the question. The idea of that is, of course, to remove some AA threats, but it might also... Oh, we're coming in from this side with the Beaufort, so I'd rather hit something with a chance of doing some rather nasty damage to it. So that removes the Yamatos from the equation, because we're not going to do anything significant to Yamatos with just a couple of torpedoes. We will do something more significant against the Congo and Fusos. Just to outline that, of course, Yamato very famous for its historical sinking and how many torpedoes and bombs that took. But just to quantify this a little easier, Torpedo defense around the Congo, 55%. Same for the Fusos. Nagato goes up to 75%, but Yamato, 90% torpedo bulge protection. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So, it's going to have to be a Congo or Fuso. I think we go for the Congo, because that's the most, well, as much as you can with this particular formation, a more rear position. Let's do that then. We can also identify it as a Congo. Hopefully that helps out with our solutions of firing against that. We will of course go to max speed and start manoeuvring down to an attack altitude. It requires a long time since we've done the aerial torpedo drops. We will come from the rear where possible. Both fighters rather, keep getting them weirdly confused, can come into somewhat slower speed. They will dive down. We'll target the number 6 Akazuki there. Now of course with the expanded arsenal mod we're using, they do have a total of 111 Akazukis. Now that is the destroyer they focus on the most with this particular mod. To outline that, Akatsuki rather is still at 4, we've destroyed all of those. Fubuki is at 20, this is more than usual, but we have destroyed a good handful of those actually, which is excellent. We go to Hatsuharu, destroyed most of those. Shiratsu, got a good chunk out of them. Let's actually press attack now though, because otherwise we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. And of course the enemy will be manoeuvring to make this harder for us. Be a bit silly not to. Now, are we going to get any decent hits? Hey, got something there. Got something. Lost a couple bow fighters. Not a problem. They just form up as much as you can in a Vic with 2 planes. Keep the enemy's AA distracted there. Bowfoots, how you're looking, what sort of position do you have onto the Congo? Gonna have to go straight in on that. Lost the bow fighters. Of course, max speed for Bowfoot's attack aircraft, not the greatest, at under 200 knots. I think what we do is we break an attack already here with the front leading planes there. We will wait a little longer for these particular Bowfoots. Don't want to come in too perpendicular, unfortunately. Not the greatest angle of attack there, but we have dropped. Yeah, we certainly have with 2 torpedoes at least. And we'll just come in a little more perpendicular here. Slow down the speed a tad. Not going to make much difference there. Not a problem. 1 hit, and we did just lose that plane as a sinky of pressing the manual attack button. So just the 1 torpedo hit there so far. Looks like this is going to miss. Which is a shame. Well, that might just... No, that's just skimmed past there. That is rather unfortunate indeed. But not to worry. At least we know what's here now. We know it's not an aircraft carrier. So the tactic here is to mark that last known position up as massive battleship group. Keep that scouted with whatever we have in the area, which I believe we do have 1 Catalina which will be able to do that. I would give that 0 armament, so that does have the endurance and fuel to keep scouting there. What we can do is come with some Mitchells from Port Moresby, but we also have things from the cairns to come in with. We have Liberators in the cairns. We're going to go in with, what is the distance there? Certainly make that with 2 2,000-pound bombs each, and that can hit something rather nasty. Have Liberators over here as well with exactly the same. Ooh, actually, I probably can't quite make that. And we can. We're going to have to know exactly where that is though. I think we take that risk because we will be actively scouting. Righty, so under the shadow of enemy scout aircraft and whatever this battle force is, our supplies have just managed to sneak their way onto Guadalcanal. Of course, the balance of power has been recalculated before we can drop off our reinforcements, so we're on less than 4,000 troops once again. Balance of power is certainly not in our favour. Let's see if that shifts favourably for us now. Unload all cargo. And that's actually a lot better. That's pushed it closer to halfway now, hasn't it? Absolutely brilliant, but we can't bring in anything else until the supply force comes in from Australia. And that's going to take, let's see roughly how long. It's going to take another 42 hours to get in there, which is absolutely disgusting. Hopefully we can hold out. We should think we can with that balance of power. We're going to have to actively scout around with our task forces now. I think what we need to do now is bring Task Force Thunder a little closer to patrol the southern area of Guadalcanal, because we can see quite likely cruiser task force here again on top of this battleship task force, which we do need to actively scout out. Do we have any spare scouts over here? We certainly do. Let's go with some Kingfishers over here. And what we can do is, from Renault Island, we can take some Mariners, and we can take, I think we go 4 £1,000 sap bombs, and we try and look at this cruiser group. So let's do that, and hopefully we can hit something with an aerial drop there. So what's happening here is this particular group is remaining completely static on the map. So we're going to be very cheeky, use that to our advantage and come to the flank of that group. Look at that. You should be able to do that, but here you go. Let's go in and have a look at that when we're ready. So what do we see? We see, actually not on the flank, that's absolutely fine, but we do see what we pretty much expected. Another 2 heavy cruisers, a few light cruisers of course. Let's take a closer look. Does that look like a Mogami at the front? That's Miyoko, there you go. There's the Tonne, okay, alright. We do see more Oidos as well. So we are going to come from the flank, because Oidos, of course, are the main AA force here. We're going to increase our altitude to throw them off a little, and our speeds. Okay, so we've decided to go for the Mogami in overall. Sorry, the Mogami, it's a Tonne, look at it. It's got zero rear guns. I don't know why I've got Mogami in my mind. Just love the ship, of course. Let's re-identify that correctly, shall we? And I think we will keep our speed a little low for the minute, so we do get that turn. Let's turn in a little here then. Not going to be exactly from the direct stern there, the drop. We're going to have to increase our speed now though, in case we do get shot down. Not too much, so we don't overshoot. I think we'll leave this as quite a standard formation attack, so we do get a bit of a spread, because of course the enemy is manoeuvring. Should be dropping soon. Have lost a Marinara, unfortunately. And another one. Like a Queen song. There you go. And that was of course 2 bomb hits on the rear of the ship there. Absolutely fine. It's going to soften it up for any future engagements. I want to avoid this for now though, just because I want to screen our retreating cargo ships a little closer with our Hunters Task Force. Take a report on that. Moderate to moderate is absolutely acceptable there. We do get those Mariners back for free over the course of the next couple of days. Okay, so actually very luckily we have re-established contact with that double Yamato, double Fuso group, only with the more minor group of Liberators. The others have run out of fuel, as did the Catalina, I think, by the looks of things, which is rather a shame because it's not showing on our strategic map. So the other liberators have had to go back home, which is a shame. But I think we'll try and target the Congo because it does have some very minor existing damage, and any bombs hit onto that will, of course, that much more effective, be more meaningful because of it. So we're now going to come in from the flank once again. We're going to increase our speed a bit. We are firing at an enemy scout. Exactly what is that? That is a Pete. So of course this task force is showing it wants to linger around Milne Bay. It's rather nasty because it does limit our the room to manoeuvre with our reinforcements and supplies over there. I think what we'll do is we will move for a line ahead formation when we get closer, because it doesn't look like this enemy formation is actually decided to manoeuvre too much. Just struggling a little bit with this turn because we were moving a little too quickly. 2 great speed. We have lost a liberator there. It's rather nasty because we have quite a minimal payload, not the greatest volume of payload. And what we'll do is we'll break and attack from here. Fairly close to dropping. I don't want to move too quickly though. Looks like I've lost another liberator there. That's very sad. Hopefully we get a drop at least these bombs. There's so many Akazukis about, and of course the Yamatos do have some very respectable AA themselves. Have dropped those 2 bombs, but even if they both hit, again, not going to be too much to that Congo. We have lost that final liberator there. Let's see how these bombs go though. Be there soon. And a complete miss. Excellent, guys. Absolutely brilliant. Astounding move. But there's not much more we can do there, unfortunately. These liberators have, of course, just about lost their fuel, which is rather a shame. Yeah, very, very sad indeed. But that is, unfortunately, all we have time for today, guys. Very limited on time myself today, which is very sad to say. But please do let me know if you have enjoyed the video once again. We are trying to come back towards this Guadalcanal push, aren't we? And we're still edging our way there. We're getting there. Progress is steady, of course. And I shall say goodbye to you guys. I shall see you in the future. May all of your nights and days be auspicious. Goodbye.